Hi everyone, hope you're enjoying your Saturday. I thought I'd just give you a few notes on how this unit works. It's really important that you understand how the learning activities feed into the learning journal, because a lot of students have problems with the learning journal, and I want you to be clear about it right from the beginning. The learning activities that you do every week are an opportunity for you to get feedback, formative feedback. If you've been around the course for a while, you'll understand what formative feedback is. It's feedback that forms your the way you learn and the way you present yourself in writing. So what I'm trying to say is the feedback gives you a good indication of how you're going to do in the learning journal. And we're very conscious of this in this unit. We do make sure we help you change anything that needs to be changed so that your learning journal does get presented correctly. So it's very important that you do the learning activities, especially the concept maps and posters. If you can try to use one of the topics to do a poster, well, next week a poster and the week after a concept map, so I can give you feedback and tell you that you're on the right track with them or that you're not on the right track and you must do something else. I have posted a PowerPoint on our discussion board and in the file exchange on concept maps. So give this a go in week 2. See if you can put together a poster in week 2 and then the following week a concept map. So we've got PowerPoints on both those things. Now, the other reason that the learning activities are important is that it gives you a chance to practice academic writing and referencing. And if you're new, you really, really do need to practice it, because it's not a simple idea. It's a different way of writing, probably from anything you've experienced. Now, there are a lot of experienced students in this unit, which is great, but there are a few new students, so please keep posting at least one. You don't have to post all your learning activities. Choose one where you have to practice academic writing and referencing, and post that one. You can do all of them, but post at least one, because then I can say, there's lots of little details that absolutely have to be followed. It's very prescriptive. So, and I don't expect you to be perfect in week 1, which is why I say keep posting, because by week 9, when you post your learning journal, you should be an expert, and then it will be easy from then on. In your next unit, you'll know what to do, and following all the units that you have to do. So it's really good to get into good habits in your first unit so that you don't lose marks unnecessarily in your assignments in following units. So I am a bit picky about referencing, but many students thank me later because it just means that they don't keep making mistakes, they don't get into bad habits and keep making the same mistakes and losing the same marks. And sometimes these marks mean the difference between you passing and failing. So remember to get your learning journal entries done weekly. Now, I've kept repeating over and over in the posts that I've seen so far that you don't have to get them perfect each week. In fact, I wouldn't advise it, because the reason you submit them in week 10 is because you can go back and revise week 1, add to it, take things away that you see is not so good because you understand a bit more in the following weeks. You can add things from week 5 into the week 1 learning journal entry later, or, you can just play about with it, and it gets your mind going. If you start it in week 1, you know what topic you're going to concentrate on, and then you can come back to it in the future because you see something that you've read in week 4 or week 3 that is somehow relevant to what you looked at in week 1. Now, the important thing about the learning journal entries is that it's not about information, as I keep stressing in the PowerPoint. It's about reflection. So you really do have to show that it is your learning journal, that it shows your philosophy of education based on the evidence of what you've read. So it's not just your opinion, because none of our opinions are worth anything in academic writing. They're only worth something if they're based on evidence, and that evidence you find in your texts. So you must show in the learning journal that you are forming something that's very personal to yourself. So it's not just about paraphrasing a whole lot of information from the text. That doesn't show me anything. It just shows me that you're good at paraphrasing. You must show something, some preference for something. So it's a topic of the week, but you can see the value of that. You can see how you might practice that in the classroom. So you don't cover all the learning outcomes for the week. You don't even maybe cover one learning outcome, because the e-tests do that for you. The e-tests assess whether you've understood all those little details. What you have to do in the learning journal is concentrate on maybe an aspect, and show, yes, this is meaningful to me. I'm going to use this in the classroom. So that's the focus of the learning journal, which is different from the learning activities, which do focus on information and just help you assimilate that information. So the take-home message is a good opportunity as a learning activity to practice reflection, to see if you've got the right way of reflecting, because it's sort of an open learning activity. So, make sure you have a good go at those. And this week is a good opportunity because we're focusing on written entries this week. Okay. Now, I just want to make, I think, one last point. I'm just checking there's two points to go. But one of them is about copying your learning activities into a Word document first. Writing them in a Word document first, and using spell check and grammar check. So far the learning activities have been very good, and I'm very impressed with the literacy skills that most of you are using. And as I said before, a lot of you are very experienced. You're on your, 9th unit or something. So you've obviously honed your skills over the study periods. But for the new people, please make sure you've gone over your written work very carefully with the help of spell check and grammar check, or with someone who is an expert, so that what you post is as good as it can get, and I can help you if it isn't. But obviously, if you're going to be teachers, you're going to be English, language, spelling and grammar teachers. So you really do have to have a high standard of literacy skills, or you won't get through the course, and you shouldn't get through the course, because we want you want your children, and I want my grandchildren to have the best teachers they can possibly have to teach them the right way of writing and spelling and things like that. So that's very important. Now, the last point I want to make is about Christmas. This study period, it can get very hectic, and I do worry that some of you have taken on a terrible amount. You're working full time, you've taken on 3 or 4 units. Really, working full time in 1 unit is sufficient. Many people drop out of these units because they just don't manage to do all the work necessary. to pass. So I really do urge you to be very organised. Get your learning journal entries done weekly. Don't think that you're going to be able to do it sometime in week 8, because if you ask for an extension in week 8, we will be asking for the drafts of all the learning entries you've done up to that point. And if you haven't, you won't probably get that extension. So, and of course we'll need support of a medical certificate or something like that as well. But we will be asking you for drafts. So be super organised. Some of you will have children home for the holidays, got relatives coming and going, and then all kinds of other things happen. People, get sick and people end up in hospital. I've seen it all. So just make sure you're super organised. And this is something that teachers must have anyway. If you've got a classroom of children, you do really have to be very organised. So if you're not an organised person, you've got 3 years or more, however long it takes to do the degree, you've got those years to, basically become organised, because you will have to be. There are a lot of policies, regulations, all kinds of things that you have to follow if you're going to be responsible for a whole lot of children. So anyway, well, good luck for the second week. Love to see more people putting up their learning activities for feedback. But so far so good. The ones I've read so far are absolutely surprisingly better than I was expecting. But as I said, there are a lot of experienced people here. But if you're new, we don't expect you to be perfect in the first week. Okay, so I'll catch up with you again next week, and I will post a newsletter feedback document on Monday. So take a look at that too, because I am emphasising all the little things that you need to remember. So have a good read of that and reminding you of all kinds of things. So see you next week. Bye.